Hello there. Another lovely day here in the heart of central Pennsylvania. I guess that's basically the same thing, right? Heart of Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania. Kinda. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that's happening fairly close to here in central Pennsylvania, about an hour away. This should be of interest to people that are into theme parks, amusement parks, history, and rail fans. That's right, rail fans. This pertains to you as well. Not in a major way, but if you care about the history of your rail and trolley type stuff, stay tuned. For all of us that are interested in history of different types, whether we're rail fans, whether we're into amusement parks, theme parks, what have you, we're all kind of interested in preservation, right? We all believe in preserving and understanding where the things that we love have come from and where they're going. And most of us, I believe, are very interested in preserving what was, if not for nostalgia, but for history. And honestly, why get rid of something when you don't have to? Now, I understand there's a lot of financial implications and things like that that are always involved in those things. But with proper promotion in this day and age, on this year, something old for a lot of people is the same as something new. While the world is looking at all the shiny and new things going on in places like Orlando, places like Anaheim, Cedar Point, etc., something heartbreaking is going on just an hour away from here, in a place called Altoona, Pennsylvania. Now, many of you aren't familiar with Altoona, and that's fine. For most people, it really isn't a name that will catch your attention. It is an amazing town, it really is. And for rail fans, it's like one of the northeastern capitals of rail. It's got its museum, the Railroaders Museum, which I did a video a few months back there, and it's actually going to be a stop for the big boy Union Pacific train that I mentioned last week. It sits near a historic landmark called the Horseshoe Curve, which for rail fans, I'm not really going to explain that to you in any way, but for the uneducated, it's a really big curve in the shape of a horseshoe, a rare curve. There's not many of them, there are a few, but this one's smack dab in the beautiful Green Mountains of central Pennsylvania, Appalachia. For rail fans, it gives you a really awesome opportunity to get some great video of trains coming around the curve. There's a lot of history involved. We're not getting into that today. But sitting in Altoona is another National Historic Landmark, a machine that predates the Wright brothers. It's been sitting for 3 years, unused and unloved. We're talking today about Lakemont Park, and more specifically, the roller coaster Leap the Dips. But today the story isn't really about the history. We're going to get into a little bit of that. It's about a legal battle that could decide if this park ever runs again. Welcome to my channel. I am the Giant Rat. I welcome you to join me on my ride home from work today and listen to a story about an amusement park that was built in the Gilded Age and is under threat currently. Lakemont opened in 1894. Lakemont opened in 1894 as a trolley park during the Gilded Age. Now, the thing about Lakemont that kind of sets it apart from a lot of these trolley parks is that it was built in Altoona. Now, this is where we get into the rail a little bit as far as Altoona goes, as it was a central location in the building of trains, the development of technology for rail and for trolleys. In the Gilded Age, electric railway companies built many of these destinations mainly to make money on Sundays. Gave people a reason when the trolleys weren't incredibly busy because nobody was working. And the stores were all shut down on Sundays at the time. A lot of restaurants, the bars certainly were shut down, particularly in Pennsylvania. So the trolleys were not busy. Places like Lakemont gave people a reason to leave home and a reason to ride the trolleys. That's why it makes sense that these trolley companies made amusement parks. Gave them a chance to make some money on Sundays. So with Lakemont, you had simple attractions, nothing special, just the standard amusement park, standard off-the-shelf rides. But in 1902, that changed. Lakemont, the trolley company, built an attraction called Leap the Dips, a modern marvel of the time. Leap the Dips, a side friction coaster. What does that mean? Well, it means it doesn't have wheels on the track, for one thing. It hugs the side of the coaster itself. Side tracks. Basically what that means is it has to be pretty slow. And more specifically, Leap the Dips is 10 miles per hour. It's no speed demon. It couldn't be. If it was, the thing would leap off the tracks. So you have a side friction coaster riding on rails, 10 miles per hour, but at the time, a popular attraction. And currently, it is the only one still in existence of this type. Now, that's not in the United States. This is the last ride of its type in the entire world, anywhere. Now, most people don't realize this coaster almost died in the 80s. It sat rotting for 14 years. It took a miracle from the American coaster enthusiasts and the Leap the Dips Foundation to raise enough money to get the thing back up and going and in usable shape. In fact, between the foundation and the repair work they were able to resurrect the coaster using roughly 70% of the original virgin wood, the coaster itself, as it sat. This just wasn't a repair. This was an act of historical preservation. Now, when it reopened in 1999 after restoration, it felt like history had taken a piece back. Like this was a big win. But unfortunately, that win, that preservation, is currently at risk and under threat. As of today, mid-May 2026, the park is only open for community use. Mini golf, basketball, that's about it. The rides sit silent for yet another season. There's a massive lawsuit between the Lakemont Partnership tasked with operating the park in Blair County. The county claims that the partnership is required by contract to maintain the historic landmarks within the park. The partnership claims that this is not economically feasible and that it is their responsibility, first and foremost, to turn profit on everything. And as a result, they claim that Leap the Dips is no longer feasible. Same with many of the other attractions there, to operate and plan to piece out, sell, or cannibalize the attractions that are not in what they deem feasible shape or capable of turning that profit. Of course, this puts attractions like Leap the Dips under threat. Same holds true for many of the attractions at the amusement park itself. The partnership claims that insurance, safety are at issue, and they refuse to open and operate at this point. Both sides are in impasse, so that's why both sides are currently fighting in court. Now the thing is, it's not just Leap the Dips that is at risk here. We have another attraction called Skyliner that is also at risk. This is a classic Woody saved from New York in 1987. Lakemont became a sanctuary for many such attractions over the years. Now feels more like a graveyard. So we are currently in the America 250 season. Maybe we need to ask ourselves, is it okay to let a National Historic Landmark just rot away because of insurance, profitability, things of that nature? This thing is a historic landmark. It's already been saved once. I understand the math may not add up for the number crunchers, but at some point we have to ask ourselves, do we owe it to future generations, to the country, to preserve the oldest thrill ride in America, if not the world? Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, does profitability always have to be the most important thing when it comes to preserving history? And at what point do we have to say that this whole litigiousness and insurance issue maybe isn't the right considerations for such an attraction. I don't know. I've taken you guys on walks before to a local amusement park. It basically went away here in my own community. That amusement park served the community. It was very important. It was an important central gathering place for the entire community. And amusement parks in this day have become important central gathering places, the public square, if you will, for America as a whole, for society as a whole. We don't really have a lot of organic spaces left in this digital world. So at what point do we say we can't sacrifice things like this? We can't sacrifice these spaces. It's important to preserve them, and it's important to bypass, in this particular case, and many cases like it, the profit margins. I think that's what Blair County had been trying to do with this park all along. And kudos for them for trying. Obviously, they just, in their desperation, most likely, picked the wrong bedfellow. Lakemont is a story of caution in that regard, but it's still something that should be very important to lovers of history, people that are into amusement parks, theme parks, coaster enthusiasts, and yes, even rail fans, rail enthusiasts, because it is a major, important part of the trolley equation. All right, dreams, grass, churros. We'll see you this weekend.